Classes are yet to resume at the Tshwane University of Technology 3 days into the second semester. Protesting students have blocked access to campus. It's over the new NSFAS banking system, historic debt and problems with accommodation. We're joined by TUT SRC President Keamogetswe Masike. Keamogetswe, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. Firstly, let's take a look at the reasons why the shutdown is taking place. NSFAS seems to form a crux of the issues around why you're protesting. What is it about the new banking system that you would want to see changed or that you don't like?
Yeah, look, our university is not a crash. It's an institution of higher learning. And I think the SRC has noted with great concern the pronouncement made by NSFAS that there's a speedily implementation of a direct payment with a money laundering company called Izaga, which is given a responsibility to facilitate millions of rands of the vulnerable and the poor. So yeah, I think we've tabulated our concerns that it cannot be business as frequent when uncounted students have not received their allowances for June and July, and they are home-staffed, and yeah, look, they've not received what is due to them. So I think we've closed the gate precisely because we've tabulated these concerns to the university that it can't be business as usual, that a process like this is just speedily implemented without proper orientation processes taking place.
Keamogetswe, how much of the students who are not or who have not received a portion of their funding also has to do with the fact that NSFAS has revised its criteria and they've changed how they actually verify the information that students have given, and they've said that there are lots of students that have now been cut off because they believe that the information they've provided was simply not credible.
Yeah, look, that's a lie. I think up till today we're still waiting for the facts that center around that discussion, because I think we had a meeting with NSFAS on the 30th of June in the university where we had clarity-seeking questions that pertains to that question. And I think, look, these discussions were just centered around opinions and assumptions. NSFAS, they were not, factual in their submissions as to why scores of our students are defunded. And look, it's very unfortunate that these kids were funded from the beginning of the academic calendar, and now that because there's a company that is appointed to facilitate them, solid reasons as to why are these kids then defunded. And in TUT, we're facing a crisis because a lot of these students are currently facing eviction. Many of these students are staying in privately owned residences. The students ought to pay for those beds. So it's unfortunate, and look, the university has not presented to us a framework as to how are they willing to mitigate around that challenge. So as we speak, a lot of these students are still seated in their villages, and look, they can't come back to the university to register.
So Keamogetswe, just to be clear, you're effectively saying that you don't believe NSFAS story, that students are defunded because they no longer qualify for the funding, or that there's information that they've submitted that's incorrect. You say that that's not true.
No. We don't believe that. We don't believe that because it does not make sense that these kids were funded at the beginning of the academic year, and now at the peak of the academic year, at the peak of the academic calendar, they are no longer funded. And we've raised some of these questions with the university, and unfortunately, officials of the university can't answer some of these questions, because I can tell you now in good faith, a lot of those students are eligible for funding. A lot of those students have reached out to us. We've checked their the period of their funding from when were they funded by NSFAS and other issues. And I can tell you now in good faith, a lot of those students are eligible for funding. But unfortunately, because there's this money laundering company that has been just appointed to facilitate this money, countless of students are now defunded.
Well, what do you want to see happen?
Look, we want to like I've said, I've thrown a great emphasis that we've exhausted all necessary discussions with the executive officials of the university, that it cannot be business as frequent. And one, our demand is that we request that the Vice Chancellor and Principal facilitate a meeting with the Minister of Higher Education so that we're able to tabulate some of these concerns to him, because look, we've had discussions with a task team that was delegated by NSFAS to come and present some of these processes that are unfolding in our university. And I can tell you now, we left that meeting with a lot of clarity-seeking questions. And I think, look, the state of higher education in the country has been in a crisis for quite some time. And we ought, look, I'm still raising a question that, look, I fail to understand why is the president of the country keeping Dr. Blade Nzimande as the Minister of Education, because whenever there's a crisis, like for instance in TUT, we're always engulfed with a lot of challenges, but the minister is failing to attend to our call. I think it's the fourth day now of the protest, the gates being closed, but we've not received any positive feedback from the minister.
All right, Keamogetswe Masike, we'll leave it there for tonight. He's the SRC president at the Tshwane University of Technology.